In 1967 in Africa, the army is fighting the mercenary mutinies. The soldiers move fast in the forest to kill several enemies with shots and well-hidden mines. At the military base, the infirmary is full of men, but not all of them were wounded in combat. Dozens of soldiers are sick with an unknown virus, and they've lost almost 50 people in just 2 days. Soon a helicopter drops off officers William and Donald, who are wearing hazmat suits. They visit the infirmary to take blood samples, then the doctor shows them the pile of bodies outside to look at the deformed faces caused by the advanced stages of the disease. The duo promises to send a plane before leaving on the chopper. A few hours later, people at the base see a plane approach and celebrate because they think they're being rescued. However, the plane bombs the area, killing every person there with one single explosion. 28 years later, military virologist Sam is at home bathing his dogs when he gets a call from William, who informs him there's been a level 4 virus outbreak in Africa. The World Health Organization will send a team, but the US Army wants Sam to be there first. Before leaving, Sam drops off his dogs with his ex-wife Robbie, a scientist who works for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention or CDC. Robbie asks him to take some boxes with his things, but he gets offended when he realizes she's giving him all the pictures of them. During his flight, Sam meets Major Salt, who doesn't have any experience with virus outbreaks. Sam tells Salt that he needs to be ready to see some unique things, and Lieutenant Colonel Casey starts describing the disgusting symptoms of this unknown virus. However, Salt finishes reciting the symptom list without being bothered. Eventually they reach a small village in Zaire, where bodies are decorating the paths and piled up in cages for burning. Inside a hut, they find a few survivors in terrible conditions surrounded by even more bodies. Salt checks a bed because he hears a kid cry and finds a boy sitting with his disfigured dead parents. The horrifying sight makes Salt freak out and puke inside his hazmat suit, which causes him to have trouble breathing. Casey tries to stop him from taking his helmet off, but it's too late. Salt removes it anyway and takes a deep breath. Sam now wants to isolate him, but the local doctor tells him it's fine because the virus isn't airborne. Afterward, the doctor tells the team that they didn't come soon enough because the village is dead. The virus kills in only 2 or 3 days and has a mortality rate of 100%. If someone infected tried to leave, they must be dead in the forest and couldn't have reached the next village. Patient Zero was a young man who worked with a foreigner to build a road, and when he came home he was sick. After that guy drank from the well, the virus spread through the village. He died 2 hours after he arrived and had been incoherent the entire time, so they couldn't ask him how he was infected. Sam notices that the local witch doctor isn't sick, and the doctor explains that the man stayed in his cave for a whole week. This witch doctor believes that the gods are angry because foreigners are destroying their land, so the virus is a punishment. During the flight home, Salt apologizes for his reaction while Casey writes a report that they immediately send home. That night, Sam crashes a party to ask William to issue an alert. However, William refuses because he thinks the virus won't spread thanks to its high mortality rate. Meanwhile, outside the village, a monkey accidentally falls into a hunter's trap. Later it's put in a cage and sent away on a ship, where the hunter shares his own food with it. The next day Sam goes to pick up his dogs and Robbie snaps at him, since he arrived much later than he promised. She didn't dare steal the dogs, so she had to postpone her trip. They argue over their pets and Sam decides to let her keep them, since they used to belong to both of them. Afterward, Sam and Casey go to the Military Research Institute and access the top level. While they're changing, Casey scolds Sam for not checking his hazmat suit, pointing at a tear on the sleeve before covering it with tape. Salt is already in the lab and has started most of the tests on the samples. Casey makes a joke about the virus named Motaba and throws a test tube at Sam, who panics to catch it. However, the tube is empty and Casey reminds him to handle lab equipment carefully. When the tests are ready, the men watch the results in shock. The virus multiplied at an alarming speed, and in just 5 hours, it killed all the cells in the sample. William soon joins them and gives them a sample of the virus he saw back in 1967 for comparison. Later, William meets with Donald to look at the results of the comparison tests. They confirm that the Motaba virus is the same thing they saw in Africa in 1967, which means it escaped the bombing. Donald tells William to lock up the virus and get Sam off the case since they must keep it secret. The next day Sam rushes to William's office to complain because he was assigned to a different case in Mexico. William insists that Motaba is contained and they argue for a while, but the orders don't change. In private, Sam calls Robbie and tells her to request a virus alert from the CDC, but Robbie explains she can't make that request just based on his feelings. After lots of arguing, she hangs up on him. Later, Robbie ends up telling her superior about the virus anyway, but he also believes that it's contained. In a biotest animal facility in California, the infected monkey is held in a cage. At night, a worker named Jimbo steals the monkey in his car and bribes the guard to buy his silence. In the morning, Jimbo is still driving, and the monkey spits on his face. Eventually, Jimbo makes it to a pet shop in Cedar Creek and tries to sell the monkey, who scratches the store owner's arm when he grabs it. A monkey in the neighboring cage steals the infected pet's banana too. The store owner is now angry and refuses to buy, so Jimbo decides to release the monkey into the woods. In the evening, Jimbo gets on a plane and starts feeling so sick that he loses his appetite. A child wants to have the cookie Jimbo abandoned, but his mother doesn't let him. When the plane lands in Boston, Jimbo meets with his girlfriend and they share a kiss before he starts feeling dizzy. In the pet store, the owner collapses and breaks the fish bowls as he falls. He's immediately taken to the hospital and the doctors take a blood sample. In the lab, the test tube breaks and the blood splashes all over the scientist's face. Robbie soon receives the news of an unknown virus in Boston and immediately travels to the hospital. Jimbo and his girlfriend have been isolated and Robbie tries to question them, but at that moment Jimbo dies and his girlfriend loses her mind. Afterward, Robbie gets permission to do an autopsy and is shocked to find all his organs liquefied. Once she's done, she calls Sam to tell him where Jimbo worked and the details of the autopsy. She also shares that all the animal facility workers and hospital staff are being monitored. Unfortunately, Jimbo's girlfriend also died, which means the virus is acting faster. Sam asks her to send him some samples to confirm they're dealing with the same thing. In a movie theater in Cedar Creek, a man starts coughing and his spit falls on other guests. He feels so sick that he needs to leave, and on his way out, he coughs all over a crowd before collapsing. Later, his girlfriend visits him in the hospital and she ends up sick as well. Soon all the people from the theater are flooding the hospital. At the CDC offices, Robbie and her team finish talking to every passenger from the Boston plane and confirm that nobody got infected. Their celebration is interrupted when a fax from Cedar Creek arrives telling them about more cases. When Sam hears the news, he goes to William to ask for help, but William thinks the CDC can handle it and tells Sam to go to Mexico anyway. Sam ignores his orders and manipulates the pilots to convince them to send him to Cedar Creek. Meanwhile, William enters the vault to get a mysterious sample. Then he talks to Donald, who explains that the Californian governor has asked the president for federal help. They need to contain the virus before the news reaches the media to avoid another bombing. That night, thousands of military trucks and choppers surround Cedar Creek to put it under lockdown. The next morning, Robbie arrives with her CDC team and finds all the roads and bridges blocked. The CDC is allowed to pass, but reporters are being kept outside. In town, Robbie meets the authorities and discovers that Sam is already there. Sam and Robbie check the isolated room, where all the patients from the theater are slowly getting worse. A doctor calls them when a new patient arrives with the same symptoms. This patient was in a car crash but wasn't in contact with any of the sick people, so Sam realizes with horror that the virus is airborne. Then Robbie and Sam leave the hospital and are surrounded by a crazy crowd demanding an explanation. They hurry to the CDC lab to reunite with Salt, who has made a comparison between the sample they brought from Africa and the one in town. A slight difference in its code confirms that it's evolved to survive longer in the air, so it's spreading like the flu. They look at all the names of the infected people and notice that one of them died from the old virus, while another one died of the new one. This means the host animal is carrying both types. Robbie reads the files and realizes one of the dead guys was a pet store owner, so she'll go there to get all the available animals for testing. Then Sam goes to see William, who just joined the operation and wants to arrest him for disobeying orders. Sam snaps as he explains that the virus mutated, which finally causes William to give in and let him work. Outside the blockade, reporters are allowed to say on camera that there's a new virus but that it's been contained. Some news teams try to take footage from their choppers, but the military helicopters quickly chase them away. People in town are rioting because they want to leave, so the soldiers have to use force to keep them back. Two men get in their trucks with their families and start driving through various structures until they manage to leave the town, so the military chases after them. A helicopter blocks them and opens warning fire, yet the men keep on driving and one of them even shoots back. The soldiers keep the fire going until one of the trucks explodes, killing everyone inside. Seeing this, the other truck stops and the soldiers arrest the family. At the pet store, Robbie finds the monkey that stole the banana. However, it can't be the host because it's currently very sick. She takes it to the lab and Salt runs the tests, which indicate this monkey has the original strain. Sam wants to test the animals from Jimbo's workplace, however the CDC already did that and they're all clean. As hours pass without progress, more and more soldiers, choppers, and trucks arrive in town, so reporters doubt the official containment story. A curfew is put in effect and the soldiers patrol the streets to send everyone home. If anyone is found outside, they'll be arrested. In the afternoon, Sam discovers that the latest crew of soldiers has arrived with several bags of medicine that they administered to the patients. He asks William about it and learns that the bags contain an experimental antiserum, however William refuses to say how he got it. Sam accuses him of keeping too many secrets, but their argument is interrupted by one of the first patients dying. Then Sam takes an antiserum bag and asks Salt to test it on the monkey. Soon the virus is spreading through town. Any person feeling sick must hang a white fabric outside their house so the soldiers can pick them up and take them to the hospital. A mother says goodbye to her children before leaving and the father has to stop the kids from touching her. Tests indicate that most of the town is infected now, so there's no more room in the hospital and the military has to set up tents to isolate the patients. In the lab, tensions are high because nobody is getting enough sleep. Casey is so sleepy that he almost passes out in front of the microscope and walks away without disconnecting the air tank from his hazmat suit, which causes it to tear. He quickly leaves without a word, but Robbie sees him and follows him. After going through the decontamination chamber, Casey tells Robbie that he only got a scare. At the White House, Donald tells the authorities that the virus will be all over the country in 48 hours, so they should bomb the town. However, the chief of staff needs several experts to present proof that bombing is the only choice, otherwise the rest of the country will destroy their careers for killing so many people. That night, the soldiers pile up all the bodies in a shack and burn them down. Meanwhile, the infected monkey finds a house and a child to play with. At the lab, Sam is shocked to see that the monkey is feeling better. However, the antiserum hasn't been working in humans, which means it only cures the original virus, and the army has been hiding a Motaba cure all along. Suddenly, Casey collapses and starts having a seizure. The team immediately takes him to a hospital room and uses various methods to calm him down. When Robbie gives him an injection, Casey has another seizure and causes her to hurt herself with a contaminated needle. Robbie runs into another room and takes off her gloves to confirm that the needle pierced her skin, so she washes her hand. Sam comes to help her, but she snaps, blaming herself for not stopping Casey earlier. Sam shakes her to calm her down and promises he'll cure her. Afterward, a furious Sam confronts William, who admits they knew about Motaba all along but never found the original host. William's speech about being a good soldier makes Sam realize that they've been hiding everything because the army wants the perfect biological weapon and that the town may be bombed, so William confirms that the president has already approved the plan for tonight. On his way back, Sam gets a call from Salt, who has new information. The guard from Jimbo's workplace has finally talked and mentioned a missing animal, but he didn't know what kind. Files show a shipment that arrived from Africa, so they must find what was in that cargo. When Donald hears that Sam has been snooping, he orders his men to arrest him. Meanwhile, Sam tells Robbie that if he isn't back soon and she doesn't have any symptoms, she should leave because they'll bomb the town. Salt sees the soldiers coming from Sam and immediately warns him, so they change into their regular uniforms and escape through the back door. They tell a pilot that their superior is looking for him to make him leave, then the duo gets on a chopper and flies away. After hearing the news, Donald tells his men to find Sam and shoot him on sight, ignoring William's protests. In the lab, Robbie is starting to feel sick. She decides to check on Casey and holds his hand since he doesn't have much time left. With the help of the Coast Guard, Salt and Sam find the ship that transported the host. There's no room to land, so Salt flies the chopper close enough and Sam makes a very risky jump. As soon as Sam tells the crew that he's an army doctor, they show him the body of the dead hunter. Sam searches the man's possessions and finds a picture of the infected monkey. In the meantime, news reports show pictures of Sam and Salt, saying they're wanted fugitives. At that moment, the duo bursts into the studio and crashes the transmission to show the picture of the monkey, asking everyone in the country to call if they've seen it. A mother immediately recognizes the monkey her child has been playing with and calls the CDC. When Sam and Salt leave on the helicopter, the cops open fire at them to no avail. Sam gets a call from the studio with the address to find the monkey, so they head there. The call is intercepted by the army, so Donald gets on his way too. Meanwhile, William gets the plane ready for the bombing. At the house, the child explains that the monkey is in the woods and only comes out for her. Sam promises he won't the creature, so the girl agrees to help. She takes some food and calls the monkey, which eventually comes out of the woods. With a carefully shot dart, Salt puts it to sleep. Then Salt calls William to tell him he's got the host, so William immediately suspends the bombing. When the duo takes off, they're surrounded by 2 helicopters. Sam tells Donald that they have the host, but Donald doesn't care and makes his men chase them. Salt shows off his piloting skills and flies under the bridge, however one of the helicopters manages to copy his moves and continues to chase them while opening fire. Then Salt flies incredibly high in the sky to pull in 180 and now he's behind the other helicopter. By forcing it into one particular direction, the enemy choppers almost crash into each other. While they pull some quick movements to avoid the crashing, Salt and Sam fly away safely. They also shoot a few missiles at the ground to make it look like they crashed, so their enemies are forced to stop and check. Minutes later they arrive in Cedar Creek and Salt immediately starts working on a cure by using the monkey's blood. Sam checks on Robbie, who doesn't have much time left either. He decides to take off his helmet and makes her touch his face in case it may be their goodbye. Once Salt finishes the serum, he immediately injects Robbie with it. When Donald arrives, he orders his soldiers to bomb the town while ignoring William's concerns again. Sam notices that Robbie is getting better, but his celebration is interrupted by Salt, who tells him that the plane is coming. The duo runs to get back on their chopper and Sam uses the radio to tell the pilots that he has the cure. The pilots don't answer, so Sam scolds them for following orders instead of doing the right thing. He also reveals that their superiors knew about the virus all along. William picks up the radio and pretends to scold Sam while giving him a tip. If he gets in the way of the plane, the pilots can't bomb the town. Salt flies the helicopter toward the plane to block it, and the pilots hear both Sam and Donald give them opposite orders. At the last second, the plane turns around to avoid a crash. To Sam's surprise, the pilots drop the bomb in the ocean instead, so the explosion only kills some fish. At the base, William relieves Donald of command for withholding information from the president and orders his arrest. Donald points out that this will bring him down too, and William is fine with it. Some hours later, everyone in town is feeling better. Sam reunites with a healthy Robbie and they start discussing a possible reconciliation. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.